This is Tackle Talk Live, an inside scoop on how, when, and where to catch bass, with a primary focus on Toledo Bend and Sam Rayburn. Interviews with anglers who are consistent winners on the tournament trail. Your hosts, Camus Boats Pro staffer Steve Graff and Gill Fishing accounts manager Kevin Jean. Two anglers who understand bass fishing with tournament success on all levels. Anglers willing to share their knowledge to help you become a better fisherman. So sit up and pay close attention as they give detailed tournament information and results. Here are the hosts of Tackle Talk Live, Steve Graff and Kevin Jean.
This is Tackle Talk Live. I'm Dower Pro staffer Steve Graff, along with Territory Manager for Sport Co-Marketing and Walking Wounded, Kevin Jean. Kevin's been on a ski trip.
Oh,
he's forgotten how old he is. He thought he could do all that young stuff. He can't do that no more.
yeah. So if everybody sees me today, if my head's tilted a little bit, I got to pull muscle in my back. I can't get my head straight. It hurts to sit still. Yeah, Steve, you're right. I done got too old.
Yeah. You gotta, or you gotta get back in shape again. You know,
that too.
Got two options there. So
that's a lot of it. That's a lot of it for sure.
Hey, we got a good show today. Got a really good guest coming on today. We're going to wrap up the BFL on Sam Rayburn with the winner, Wyatt Frankens, who blew the field away, Kevin, with over 29 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, Steve, he's been hot. I mean, we had his partner on, Shane Campbell, last week. Talked about their success they had. I actually did not realize Wyatt was going to be fishing this weekend. Talking to Shane, I thought I got the notion that they was going to set this one out. But then Shane turned around and fished a team derby with a good friend of theirs too. But I mean, Wyatt and Shane have had 29, 30 pounds 3 or 4 times since September, October. Yeah. So I was a little shocked. There was not some other big weights other than him. I mean, I think second place was what, 24?
23. Yeah.
Cole had 19 at third. So I kind of expected to see a little bit more bigger weights than we did, but you know, that's Sam Rayburn.
Yeah, it really is. And it's that time of year. I mean, obviously, and like I said, Wyatt's no stranger to Sam Rayburn. Between him, they know what they're doing. They know how to catch them, especially this time of year. So another thing that got my attention, I'm sure the BFL a little disappointed in their turnout. Only 142 boaters and 143 co-anglers. Just your thoughts on is
Steve,
that
good? Is
that where we're headed this year? Low numbers?
Yeah, but I think that's a little bit more than last year's first tournament. I think.
I don't remember.
I don't remember either, but I actually was pleased to see that number because I'll be honest with you, I was scared it was going to be a lot worse than that.
Yeah, I was expecting less than 100.
Yes, and that's what I was a little nervous. I kind of was wanting to watch this tournament and see what the turnout was going to be like, and that's going to kind of set the table for the rest of the tournament, especially this month. So seeing 142 at the BFL when they were short of a lot of co-anglers too, we got to keep that into account. A lot of guys, like we talked about on the show last week, if they would have had to go boater on boater, they just wasn't going to fish. So, how many of that went into effect? So seeing that number, Steve, I was not discouraged. I guess I should say I was actually pleased to see it be that number.
Yeah, and only another week, and you've got the Toledo Bend BFL. I mean, so 2 tournaments within 3 weeks. That could be a good formula for the BFL to maybe keep those anglers coming in before all these other circuits get started.
Yeah, no, agreed. So hopefully we're off to a good start, good turnout. I'd like to see better turnouts for the tournaments this year. So we'll see this weekend, the Outlaw Team Series Tournament number 1 coming up on Sunday. Hopefully we'll see a good turnout there.
Yeah, and also coming up today, we're going to cover the rest of the tournaments going on for the month of January, both Toledo Bend, Sam Rayburn, but also, Kevin, the cold weather that's just coming, that's going to be coming through. Well, it's already here basically, but it's the nasty stuff is scheduled for Thursday and Friday.
Correct.
How much is this going to affect maybe Sam Rayburn and those fish, for the Sunday rattle trap tournament? I'm sorry, not rattle trap.
Outlaw, yeah.
Team Outlaw tournament on Sunday.
Steve, I don't know if it's going to really affect them. Them fish are already grouping up. You know, they're going to that pre-spawn phase or starting to get ready to go to that pre-spawn phase. I don't think it's going to affect them. It might bundle them up even a little bit more. Fishing might get even a little better. You know, Sunday during the outlaw. Now, Saturday's going to be pretty cold for them high school kids on Saturday. They got the big SETX high school tournament on Saturday. Sunday's going to warm up to 60 degrees for the outlaw team series. So I could definitely see. I honestly could see it helping a little bit. Yeah. And we'll get Wyatt's opinion on that, but it's not going to hurt it, I don't think, a whole lot.
All right. Hey, don't touch that dial. We're going to come right back. We got area lake levels and let you know what Rayburn, Toledo Bend, and Lake of the Pines, let you know where those water levels are at. We've got a tip of the week. Kevin's got a Shimano product preview. We'll get him to give us a good Shimano product this week. All this and more right here today on Tackle Talk Live. Let's take a quick break to recognize a few of our sponsors. When we return, we'll visit with Wyatt Frankens right here on Tackle Talk Live.
A good marine dealer is hard to find, but a great dealer is even harder. But in Iowa, Louisiana, there's a marine dealer that falls into the great category. Power Implements Marine, South Louisiana's go-to dealer for all things related to the boating industry. A Minn Kota, Garmin, and Mercury dealer, guaranteeing you first-rate service in both sales and repair. A great selection of new and used boats to choose from, including Skeeter, G3, Ranger, Camus, and Go Devil. A knowledgeable staff that will treat you like family and are always willing to go the extra mile to ensure you walk out a happy customer. To see everything they have to offer, go to powerimplements.com or stop by 606 East Miller Street in Iowa, Louisiana. Plus, mention Tackle Talk Live and save $500 off a new or pre-owned boat or $50 off your first service ticket. Toledo Health is a full-service primary and acute care clinic. Nurse practitioners Jarrett Rule and Melissa Vines bring quality health care that's needed and convenient to the area. Nothing is worse than being sick on your family or fishing getaway. Whether it's a stomach virus or a hook in the hand, Toledo Healthcare will try and meet all your health care needs. Appointments available and walk-ins are always welcome. So the next time you're feeling down at Toledo Bend, stop by Toledo Healthcare, located on Highway 6 just south of Toledo Town, or call 318-508-5323. Very few stores are a complete one-stop shop, but Cypress Knee Outdoors is such a place. A store within a store. Cypress Knee is located inside 3J's four-way. Whether you need gas, food, drinks, or bait and tackle, they have it. Cypress Knee Outdoors carries top-name fishing brands like Strike King, Sandtone, Spro, and V&M. Crappie jigs from Bobby Garland. Need hunting gear? They have it. Ammunition from rifle to shotgun shells. Deer scents from Buck Wild and Doe and Heat. Deer stands from Titan and feeders from T-Hanger. Cypress Knee has it all. Located off I-49, exit 127, just south of Natchitoches, Louisiana. So stop by Cypress Knee Outdoors and let John Abram and his staff show you everything they have to offer. Or give them a call at 318-238-HUNT. You're watching Tackle Talk Live, a show dedicated to making you a better angler. Now back to the guys with all the inside scoop, Kevin Jean and Steve Graff.
This is Tackle Talk Live. Thank you for tuning us in today. This segment presented by Keith's Toledo Bend Tackle, the Lakes Insurance of Nacogdoches, Toledo Health Clinic, Cypress Knee Outdoors, Shimano, and Power Implements Marine, located right there in Iowa, Louisiana. And if you mention Tackle Talk Live, you get two choices. You can either get $500 off the purchase of our new or used boat, or you get $50 off your first service ticket. So either way, you benefit from saying, hey, I heard about y'all on Tackle Talk Live, and it's good for us as well. So on the Tackle Talk hotline, we've got not just any angler. We got the BFL Sam Rayburn champion. We got Wyatt Frankens on the line. And Wyatt, welcome. Congratulations. And so just make sure you send me those GPS coordinates where you caught all your fish, and we're good.
That's right. That's right, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, because there's no big tournaments coming up at all, Wyatt. Nothing important coming up.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Wyatt, congrats, man. First BFL win, correct?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I've been close a couple times, but never won one. So yeah, it was
Yeah, I
cool,
mean, I
man.
know you got second numerous times and been right there. And I believe I read on the MLF write up your first win, which is shocking
Yeah.
with the success you've had for sure. But man, when you did it right. I mean, you won by right at 5 pounds, maybe a little bit more, weighing 29.01. Now this is since let's say September. This is what your third 29 plus pound bag between you and Shane.
Oh man, I'm really not sure about that.
Steve, when you can't
Yeah, I
remember
mean,
that, it's been a good year.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. No, it was. It was a very blessed season between Shane and myself. Last year was just really an incredible run, and not just on Rayburn. Outside of that, had some really good finishes on Lake of the Pines, Cedar Creek. Toledo Bend made a run at the $100,000 Brandon Belt Championship over there. It's just been really special, man. And it's nice to see a bunch of hard work, finally paying off. Been doing this fishing competitively since I was 15 years old, and I'm 29 now. So even though I'm a young man, like I've been doing it for a little while, and feel like we've really put the time in and done things the right way. Finding out our own stuff and working hard and consistently grinding to get to that goal and to finally have a year, payoff year like that last year and starting the new year off like this, man. It's nice. It feels good.
Wyatt, let's talk about your practice. As much experience as you've got on Sam Rayburn, kind of go over your practice method right now. I mean, do you go out and you really try to catch them? Do you go out? Are you just looking? Are you using electronics? I mean, are you one of those guys that just lay off of them and you know what you're going to go do and you just hope they're there?
Man, it's funny you mention that because, I really didn't get to practice for this event, mainly because I didn't think I was going to even fish the event all the way up until, right there at the last minute. They were needing co-anglers pretty bad for the longest period of time. And then there towards the end, they're actually needing some boaters. So, I've just kind of going through, some stuff, some situations with the boat, like not, do I think everything's quite ready, stuff like that, kind of late on that whole deal. But I ultimately decided to get in the event kind of last minute. So didn't really get to practice hardly much at all, which I think worked out in my favor because Rayburn's going through a lot of changes right now, as it usually does. So that was probably actually a really a benefit for me because I was able to fish really open-minded and just kind of like, fish the day, the conditions, instead of being too locked into, a particular pattern or particular area or anything like that. So I actually think that worked out to my benefit in this one.
Why? Well, let's go through the day. Kind of take us through the day. 29 pounds. What was your big fish?
I weighed my biggest one for big bass. It was 7.5. So I mean, that's definitely a big one, but not a giant.
Right.
I mean,
right.
I had a 2.5 pounder in my bag as well. So I don't really know how I got to the 29 pound mark. All I can think is the other three were 6.5 pluses. So
I should say you had 7 in all, 6s and a 2.5.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And that's that's what it is, I guess. I thought my big one was bigger than that. She was just a little, I guess, poor on the healthy side. I mean, she had a big head. She just didn't have a lot of bite. I thought she was probably 8 plus, but she ended up going 7.5, which 7 pound 5 ounces, which isn't even a 7.5 pounder. But had a 2.5 pounder in my bag. The other three were just big, and I never really got a good look at them or weighed them on the scale or nothing, so I didn't really know what I had. Mainly because, like I said, I had a 2.5 pounder in my bag, and I was all day. I was just like, well, I need 3 more, then I need 2 more, and then I never got rid of that one. I was still thinking in my head, I still need to get rid of 1 more to win, not unknowing that I had that kind of weight at the time.
Well, take us through the day. Was it typical Sam Rayburn winter fishing? Did it happen like right off the bat, first thing that morning? Did it take all day to get those 5? Kind of take us through the day.
Yeah, no, it did not happen in the morning for me, and it just didn't. I kind of went in, like I said, not much practice. I knew the water had came up a significant amount, so I didn't have some magical starting area or starting spots. I obviously started on something that I felt like was going to be good, but it ended up not being good. And I didn't have a fish in the boat till like 9:30. And I think we took off at 7. I was towards the back of the pack, so it probably took me around 2 hours to really start to get an idea of like, hey, what I'm doing is not working. Like these fish are not here. They're just not here. I jumped one fish off, or right at the net. It was like a 4.5 pounder on a football jig of all things. It really kind of ticks me off because I should not be losing fish on a jig. But it did. It came off. And I'm sitting there about 9:30, and I'm like, dude, I got to change something like in a hurry because I'm about to be staring down the barrel of not doing very well. And just like you said, typically, when you have a bag like that or you do well, especially in the pre-spawn or the winter months, like usually you have a pretty good start. And I'm not saying you have a limit of big ones, but maybe you got 1 or 2 big ones that can really carry you for the rest of the day, and I just didn't. So I just started adjusting. I started moving up in the water column a little bit more, in shallower water a little bit more. Utilizing forward-facing sonar, of course. That's something that Shane and myself are both really good at doing, but not only just for catching fish, but to give you an idea of like there's a better population in this depth, or how are they reacting to a bait. It teaches you so much more than just catching a fish. I know a lot of people get hung up on live scope being a negative thing from just the fishing and catching aspect, but man, it really is an amazing learning tool if you let it teach you. And that's exactly what I did. I just started getting a little bit shallower, thinking in my mind at that time, hey, the lake's coming up, you need to quit being hard-headed, move up with these fish. I know these fish like to move up with the water. It's just what they do. And it really doesn't, I don't think time of the year and a lot of the outside factors a lot of people probably think about affects that. I think water level on that lake, like when it comes up like that, a significant amount in a short period of time, they move with it. And, they may not move very far, but they're not where you might think they would be at that, where they were a week ago or 2 weeks ago or a month ago, so I just kind of ran with that. Go ahead.
Were you trying to drag something, or were you having to chunk and wind to get the bites, to get the fish to bite for you? Or were you able just to drag a Carolina rig or a rig? Was any of that even available to you?
Yeah, so I jumped that one off early on a jig, and that was really one of the only fish as far as slowing down like that I could get to bite. As I started like getting up shallower and kind of like looking around, like if I did see a decent sized group together, I would throw that crankbait in there and try to get one to react, just to draw a bigger bite out of whatever is down there at that time. But if I saw like a solo or a double, that's when I just target them with a jighead minnow. The Aussie from 6 Cents is what I was using on my jighead minnow, and then the crankbait was a 300 DD. And I had a Carolina rig, had a jig, had a bunch of different stuff on the deck, but those two really ended up being the biggest player as I was kind of moving up and starting to pretty much run the entirety of the lake. Like I didn't see the entire lake because that's almost impossible to do in a day of fishing, but like I saw a lot of the lake because I just started running and gunning and just kind of using a little bit of history, but just kind of letting the fish tell me where they wanted to be, like just kind of locked in a depth zone and started running that all across the lake. And like I said, if I'd see more than, like if a fish was on bottom and there was, more than a few, like there was 4 or 5, I would use a crankbait because I feel like I can get one to react. And usually the one out of that little pod of fish down there on bottom, if it reacts to a crankbait, it could, a lot of times it could potentially be the biggest one there. It just draws a bigger bite. So I'd use the crankbait, and then if it was higher in the water column, a suspended fish, I would target it with a minnow, or if it was only 1 or 2 on bottom, I would target that with a minnow. So that really ended up being the 1-2 punch. And I just kind of ran with it, man.
What do you think your best water column was on Saturday? Because it's changing a lot right now, like you said, weekend to weekend. Like this weekend, man, and we're going to jump in. I want to get your opinion on this weekend, the Outlaw Tournament on Sunday a little bit later on. But Saturday, what depth range was kind of your best water?
Man, I would say probably 10 to 15 would probably be, which is really kind of more of the depth zone that I like to target anyways. But, you know, and I would say that was more for like what little bit of fish I saw on bottom, like these little pods of fish I'm talking about, like that wasn't a lot. Like a lot of these fish were roamers. They were solos, maybe doubles that that I targeted with forward-facing sonar, and it isn't like I was setting the world on fire. Like I said, I didn't have anything till 9:30 or 10, and I didn't have 5 big ones. I had 4. So if I could have caught a
it ain't
fifth
like you went and caught a whole bunch of fish.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. And out of the, I would put it somewhere around 10 to 12-ish opportunities I had at big fish. I got 4 of them to go. Obviously I didn't get 5. I jumped one off on a jig that would have given me over 30 pounds, but other than that, like that's it. I got 4 of the out of 12 or 13 opportunities I had to go. So it was not easy.
Wyatt, normally when the boater / pro does really well from the front, the co-angler a lot of times will do well from the back. How'd your co-angler do in this event?
He had 1, and man, the way I was fishing, that's really hard. That's hard to do out of the back of the boat. Like if I would have been on a big school or something, like I always try to help my co out, and I had told him that earlier in the day. I said, man, if I find a big school, as long as I can get a few out of there, like I'll turn the boat around so you can get a limit, and because the co-angler limit's only 3, but I never ran into that. So like I felt bad for him, but I never ran into a big pot of them.
Well, the problem is it's hard for him when you're fishing like that, and it's hard for you when you're fishing like that to help him. Like your hands are tied as well.
Yeah,
and it's no secret. Like the co-angler entries are probably down because of forward-facing sonar, and I don't necessarily disagree with that.
That's
tough. It doesn't help. Yeah, it is tough. That's the reality. It is tough. But I'll be honest with you, you take forward-facing sonar away, and it would have still been really tough on him. I mean, I wasn't around a plethora of fish. I wasn't around that many, and that's just really all it comes down to. If my co was randomly throwing an A-rig around the entire day, could he have maybe caught a limit? Maybe. Just for some random suspended fish around the area. I don't know. I was just so kind of like locked into what I was doing. And if I would have seen a big wad of them, because they are out there, like there is some schools of a lot of fish out there, some really big schools. 50 to whatever, however many fish schools are down there. And I just never ran into those. It just didn't happen.
Well, you could have, but Wyatt, man, that still would have been really tough on him because he can't get on the front deck with you. So he's just kind of you've got to completely coach him through that cast, which, like I said, man, that's hard for you. And the whole time you're thinking you need another fish. So, again, there's nothing you can do there. And, it's tough on him. It's tough on you, but that's where we're at right now in the sport.
It is. It is.
So,
it is. Yep.
Hey, well, I want to kind of jump ship here. Shane, your partner, he jumped in a team derby on Saturday. And the only thing I'm going to ask about that, I think they had 22
something, I think. Yeah.
Did they kind of catch theirs doing the same thing, or was they doing something else? Just kind of getting a fishing report here.
Well, after the event was over, like talking to Shane, I think they were doing something a little different. That I never even stumbled upon.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think they were doing something a little different, which is really good news considering we've got a lot of big events coming up. And, I'm doing this. I did something different and catching 29, and he did something different catching 22. That's a good thing. That's really good. And one thing I'll say is, like, normally this time of the year, I really like to have like something going on in the grass or shallow to back me up. That way, like if I do go offshore and I do get a few big bites, I've got that there to back me up. Unfortunately, that's just not the case right now. Like it's just not growing very good. You know, like last year in the Toyota at the end of January, I had grass to back me up, and that's why I caught some of the better bags I did. I mean, I really enjoy and grew up fishing that way, and that's the way I would love to have. That's probably what I would have went to once I had one or two big bites. If I could have went and did that, what limited supply of grass is out there, dude. It's getting beat. So that probably would have helped my too had I been in some shallower depths around some grass like that. But man, it's just not great right now. So.
I saw a lot of weights in that 13 to 16 and a half pound range. That tells me that there were a lot of guys that went shallow and went up with the fish, and there were probably a lot of fish pulled up in that 6 to 3 foot range, I would guess, that you could go out, maybe slow roll a spinnerbait, throw a trap, shallow running crankbait. I figured that bite, it looked like that bite might have been on a little bit. It's just a matter, could you get the big bite to go with them?
Yeah. Yeah, I actually heard somebody in the weigh-in line said they caught a 4-pounder on a buzzbait on the edge of a hay grass. So that's freaking awesome. Wow. But that probably just got knocked in the head.
I fixed to say that's done.
Yeah. That probably just got knocked in the head a little bit. Yeah. But like I said, man, like I think not practicing was a huge benefit for me. Just not getting too locked into one thing or one area, and just being able to and it felt good. Like it really did, to just kind of go fishing, just kind of go fishing, obviously still utilizing my electronics, but learning from that too, not just targeting fish with it, but learning like, hey man, I'm starting to see more in this depth range. You might want to stay around this depth range. Like, it's little subtleties like that can go a long ways that I think some people kind of forget about, and the positive side of the technology, not just the negative,
Yeah, you basically turned your practice into a win just because you stayed flexible and
you gotta let the fish tell you what to do on that day. You got to let the fish tell you what to do on that day, and that's hard for us to do when you practice. There's no doubt. Hey, well, let me get your opinion on this weekend. Are you and Shane? Are y'all fishing Outlaw Team Series this weekend?
Man, unfortunately, no. Like they've got a guide rule. I think it's a 14-day guide. I actually texted Clint about that, and I literally would be fine, but up until the date of the event, it'll be like 13 days for me instead of 14. So I'm not going to be able to fish that one or the Fishers of Men on Saturday. So. No, we're not going to get to fish either one, just because of the guide rules.
Well, so Steve was asking, we were talking about this before you came on in the introduction, and he threw it out there to me. Let me kind of tell you my opinion. You tell me yours here on the cold. I think it could actually help a little bit. I think it could help group up, especially the bigger fish. I think the cold weather might hurt those 12 to 15 pound bags, but I think you might see some more bigger fish caught this weekend just because that's Rayburn, and that's what Rayburn likes. Give me your opinion on this cold in this weekend.
Yeah, this is the first real cold weather we've had, so it'll be interesting to see how that affects it. Once again, with the water level thing, if it'll stabilize and it stays stable, I could definitely see it happening. Like those big ones will definitely group up, and somebody will land on them and probably smash a really big bag. As long as we've got some stabilization with the water level, I think you definitely could see that. I think that'll be the biggest difference in probably this weekend versus this past weekend is it was not stable. You know what I mean? Right. It was constantly coming up. I think it's above full pool now. So, it needs to stabilize a little bit, and because anytime you get that change, and obviously it's just going to spread fish out. So,
Sure.
and that was the case. That's what I was running into. And that's why it was not easy. It was an all day thing and took all day. So yeah, I could see that this weekend though, just because I don't know what Thursday and Friday is going to bring. I know it is bringing some freezing rain. I just don't know how much. So yeah.
And actually, Wyatt, the forecast has changed a little bit. South of I-20, it's going to be, they're actually talking about it could be a warm rain, which kind of caught me off guard. This national weather forecast guy with the National Weather Center was talking about how the different layers, it has changed a little bit, and it might actually be warmer rain. But once it hits the ground now, of course, the ground's going to be cold. But I thought, well, that's interesting. I never would have thought that. But anyway, I think south of I, the way they talk is going to be, it's going to be cold, but maybe not as bad as they were predicting originally. So,
yeah, that's definitely good. I was looking at the forecast as far as the wind, what it's going to do on Saturday and Sunday. I think at least for all the guys fishing for their sake, I think they're going to be all right. I think as far as wind goes, it's light and variable. So it'll be nice, like, to at least be out there and not have to deal with that,
Especially Sunday. It's going to get up to 60 degrees on Sunday for that all. Now that's
going to be a really nice day.
Yeah, Fishers and Men on Saturday might be, it's going to be cool that morning. I think high is going to be around 50, so it's going to be kind of cool, but Saturday would be nice, and it's going to be sunny. Sunday, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It should be pretty nice.
Yeah, and Wyatt, you're right. Between all three of us, we understand that. Be careful what you ask for when you ask for wind, Rayburn. So, because it can be absolutely brutal.
Well, I know some guys that have been out there, like it's like the last week for the guys that are fishing the opens. They go off limits for 30 days starting on the 12th. So like I know some guys that have been out there dealing with those, the wind and the miserable conditions, and I'm like, man, I don't know if that's worth it, but I get it. Last week, Yep,
for sure. Well, man, I appreciate you coming on. And you've been, I think, on with us every year. Past several years. Appreciate you coming on and all the knowledge and everything you dropped for us, and for all the listeners, man. I just appreciate everything you do. Still guiding. How can people get a hold of you for a guide trip?
Yeah, man, you can message me on Facebook or Instagram, or you can just give me a call or text me 936-221-8697. Obviously, with a bunch of events that are coming to Rayburn, like I'm going to have some off limits, like 14-day or whatever the case may be. So we may not get to be able to go there, just depending on what events are coming up. But there's always, Toledo and some other East Texas lakes that we could go as far as like helping you with your electronics and techniques and stuff like that. You still learn the same thing. So, that's where they can reach me.
Good deal.
All right. Thank you, Wyatt. Appreciate it, man. Good luck the rest of the year. Hopefully we'll have you back on again.
Yes, sir. Thank you all.
All right. Wyatt Frankens, BFL champion, BFL #1 champion right there on Sam Rayburn. And of course, you got Toledo Bend coming up, not this weekend, but the next. And so, Kevin, looking forward to seeing, of course, they probably have about the same turnout for Toledo Bend that they had for Rayburn. And
I hope.
Yeah, I do too. All right, when we return, we've got lake level reports. We got tip of the week, Shimano product preview, and upcoming events. Let's take one more break, recognize a few of our awesome sponsors. You're watching Tackle Talk Live.
The Lakes Insurance Agency is an independent insurance agency taking care of Texans' insurance needs for over 25 years, offering auto, homeowners, boat, RV, life, health, and commercial insurance. Owner Clark Moore is a local fishing guide and tournament angler who understands your insurance needs and wants to be your go-to guide for all your insurance needs. For a free quote, give him a call and see why so many Texans trust the Lake Insurance Agency. 2 locations to serve you in both Nacogdoches and Bravos, Texas, or give him a call at 936-205-4467. The next time you're headed for Toledo Bend or Sam Rayburn, stop by Keith's Toledo Bend Tackle. They have an awesome supply of everything you'll need to catch the big ones. Whether your trip calls for bass fishing, white perch tackle, catfish bait, or the ultimate fighting shiners, Keith's Tackle has you covered. Keith and former Elite Series pro Ben Matsubu also have the latest information on what, how, and where you need to be fishing on Sam Rayburn or the Bend. So for all your tackle needs, check out Keith's Toledo Bend Tackle, located just off Highway 21 on the Texas side of Toledo Bend, or call 409-625-0181. You're watching Tackle Talk Live, a show dedicated to making you a better angler. Now back to the guys with all the inside scoop, Kevin Jean and Steve Graff.
Welcome back to our final segment right here today on Tackle Talk Live. We appreciate each and every one of y'all tuning us in. And by the way, spread the word. Let everybody know, hey, we're back. And we're going to be giving you weekly reports. Toledo Bend, Sam Rayburn. Every once in a while, we'll jump in there with Lake Fork or Lake of the Pines. We'll kind of keep you up to date what's going on in this region. And so this segment's presented by Keith's Toledo Bend Tackle, the Lakes Insurance of Nacogdoches, Toledo Health Clinic, Cypress Knee Outdoors, Shimano, and Power Implements Marine, located right there in Iowa, Louisiana. Kevin, you mentioned Tackle Talk Live. What happens?
You get $500 off your purchase of any new or used boat, or you get $50 off your service ticket. So make sure to stop by and see the guys there at Power Implements Marine, and make sure to tell them that the guys at Tackle Talk Live sent you.
There you go. There you go. Upcoming tournaments, as we've already alluded to, Outlaw Outdoors. Team number 1, January the 12th on Rayburn.
Fishers and Men's the 11th, Steve. We forgot that earlier, too.
Oh, yeah, you're right. We don't have it on the list here. And that's a big deal. Yeah. Fishers and Men has really become a big deal. $10,000 guaranteed first place in those events.
I think it's $7,000 or $7,500 this year, Steve. First
okay, they dropped it back. Okay, that's
guaranteed.
Yeah, that's still a good payout. Bass Champs, January 18th kicks off their season at Humphreys over at Sam Rayburn. And so all you Bass Champ guys, get ready for that. Now, Kevin, is it dead water for Bass Champs or?
Week of, Monday through Friday.
Okay, so Sunday at midnight, basically it's off limits till Friday? You practice on Friday?
No practicing. No practice.
No practice.
Monday through Friday is off limits. It don't go back on limits till Saturday morning.
So who is it that does the big fish?
Texas Team Trail.
Texas Team Trail does that. They have a big bass on Friday practice deal. I thought that was Bass Champs.
No, Bass Champs don't do that. I think they might do that for the championship or so. Actually, I lied. They just switched it, Steve. I lied. You're right. They just started doing that. Last year was the first year.
Yeah, you're exactly right. That is correct. So so if you're a Bass Champs guy and you're practicing, hey, and you catch a big one, 6-7 pounder, don't be afraid to go weigh that sucker in, because there's a big bass contest on Friday. Kevin, Cowboy BFL division, January 18th, Toledo Bend. You're a Toledo Bend guy. What's it going to be, north or south of the bridge?
Ooh, to win it?
Yeah. North End's been a big player over there in the last couple of years.
South's gonna win it. There's gonna be a lot of checks coming from up north, but South's gonna win it. There's just that's where it'll be a 20, 24, 25 pound bag.
Oh, okay.
And I think it's gonna be just like Wyatt caught.
Yeah. Oh. Bill Lewis Rattle Trap Tournament, January 19th over there at Sam Rayburn. That's put on by Outlaw Outdoors. And I believe is that a Sunday?
Yes. 18th. Bass Champs is on Saturday, 19th. Rattle Trap on Sunday.
That's correct. So, and then you got Toyota Series. A lot of those guys, I'm not sure when they go off limits, but they're January 23rd to the 25th at Rayburn. And that's another one. If the weather holds up like this coming week where it's in the 60s every day, boy, I tell you, Kevin, I think that trap bite is really fixing to turn on over there.
Yeah, I could see that. I hate we don't have as much grass, for that. But I could definitely see the trap bite turning on. I haven't looked long range, Steve, weather to see what the weather's going to be like for that Toyota event. They could knock that one out of the park. They could be some big bags caught during that one. And then there's still some more tournaments February 1st, but 13th through the 15th, the Open is over there on Rayburn as well, the Bassmaster Open, number 1. So A lot of big tournaments coming up on Rayburn, no doubt about it. Every weekend it's going to get hit hard like it is every year. That's nothing new. Rayburn's used to that, and it still spits out big bags. Main thing for me, Steve, is I keep my eye on the entries for these tournaments. I like what I saw BFL. It was a little down, but with everything going on, I did like to see the numbers where it's at. It's going to be really. I say it's going to be telling this weekend, man. It's going to be cold, but Fishermen Outlaw this weekend. It's going to kind of we're going to start to see a trend. Steve, is this going to be the year that it falls completely off, or is it going to be a year where it comes back a little bit? We're still unknown right now.
Right. And looking at this week's BFL results real quick, Kevin, I'm looking at some of the top name guys. Cole Moore was third. Hayden Heck was fourth. James Larimore, I'm glad to see James back fishing again. A really good angler. He was seventh. Tater Reynolds was ninth. Chris McCall was 11th. Two good friends of ours, Nick LeBroom was 14th. Aaron Johnson was 15th. And some really good sticks. A lot of guys, some of those guys are pre-fishing probably for Toyota as well, especially AJ and Nick, and probably Chris McCall. I don't know if Chris is fishing.
Open too.
Yeah, that's true. And so a lot of those guys putting some time in on the lake. And so congratulations to all those guys. I think they paid all the way down to 28th, which was Chad Heck. He had 1303 to get the last place, the last check, which was 28 for $256. But again, congratulations to all you guys that placed in that event and maybe got some gas money as well, and your lodging paid for. So Kevin, that's what a lot of people. That's all they really want. Most of these guys know they may not win, but at least pay for my gas and pay for my food or where I stayed. Whatever. And they're happy. They're happy.
Yeah. So, Steve, they also had an RTT team tournament Saturday out there on Sam Rayburn as well. That's when I was alluding to that Shane fished. Keelan Manuel won it with 23:32. Shane Campbell, Jerry Birch was second with 22:09. Third place, Mike Hollard, Wade LeBlanc had 19:42. So they had I didn't put down how many boats they had, but it had some good weights in that one as well this past weekend. So
right. And before we get to Kevin Shimano product of the week, here's the tip of the week. Guys, wear your life jacket. Falling into the water, falling into the lake this time of year, man, it can be deadly. I'm telling you, hypothermia, it doesn't take long for it to set in on these cold water temperatures. And when it's in the 50s and 50-degree water, if you ain't never been in it, it's cold. So wear the life jacket. And here's something that I do, and I know a lot of guys don't even think about it, but I've been doing it since I fell in the river on Red River years ago, back in the mid-90s. Keep a complete change of clothes in your boat this time of year, just in case, because the best way to get warm is to get out of them wet clothes that you fell in with and get them off and get some dry clothes on you. So it can save you a possible trip to the hospital. So make sure you have a complete change of clothes, put them in a baggie, trash bag, throw them in the front end of your boat, leave them in there and just let it be. And that way, if you ever need them, you got them. So anyway, that's this week's tip of the week. Kevin, you got Shimano product?
Yeah, and what I want to do here, Steve, is just kind of, bring up some products that a lot of you guys maybe not know about or kind of talk a little bit through some. And first thing I want to talk about this week is the Shimano Mastiff, the fluorocarbon line. A lot of guys don't know about this line. It's really, really good fluorocarbon. It's really easy casting, smooth, really strong, Steve. 200-yard spools from 14 to 20 pounds, or actually 8 to 20 pounds. Most all of your tackle stores around Toledo Bend and Sam Rayburn have this. If they don't, you're looking for it, tell them they need to get with Kevin Jean. We'll get it in there. But main thing, guys, is this a new line they came out with last year. You definitely want to give this one a try. I hadn't until I started repping Shimano, and I play with it a little bit this summer and this fall, the little bit of fishing I've got to do, and I've really, really, really got to like this new Mastiff fluorocarbon line. So you might want to give it a try. It's a good line. It's at a good price point. So make sure to pick you up a box next time you're in one of them retail stores.
Does it come in different colors, Kev?
No, it's just clear. It's just fluorocarbon. Just fluorocarbon.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about Bray. I'm sorry.
Fluorocarbon.
Yeah. Okay. Good deal.
Yes,
what
sir.
Else? That's it?
That's it for this week, Steve. We're going to take it one at a time.
Good deal. Good deal. So check that out. Ask your local tackle dealer if they carry Shimano product. When you walk in the door, they point you in the right direction and make sure they get you some of that fishing line that Kevin's talking about. And so there you go. All right, lake levels. Toledo Bend 169.66 is it's 172 is pool. It's down 2.34 feet, so it's still not up to full pool yet. I guess they're probably pulling it down. 10-day gain was 8.04 inches over the last 10 days. 24-hour loss, which tells me they are pulling it 3.48 inches. It's come down in 24 hours. So, Kevin, what about Rayburn?
I don't have that in front of me, Steve. I did not
Right.
get that report.
164.65. 164.4 is pool. Difference of 3 inches. It's 3 inches above pool right now. 10-day gain, 2.13 feet. In 10 days, come up over 2 feet. 24-hour gain, 2.04 inches. So it's still, Kevin, it's still on the rise right now. And that's interesting. Lake of the Pines is also on the rise. 230.26. 230 is pool. It's up 3.12 inches over pool. 10-day gain, a little over 1 foot. 24-hour loss, 1.56 inches. So Sam Rayburn and Lake of the Pines, both full pool, if not a little bit more. And so we'll see how all that holds up. Of course, our biggest fear at Sam Rayburn, Kevin, as you well know, is when they start holding the water back and we get some big rains come through.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Sam Rayburn will shoot up 10 to 12 feet over pool, as high as 15 feet over pool. And it can make fishing awful tough because it really scatters them out.
Yeah, we don't need that to happen for sure. And I'm surprised it's at where it's at right now, Steve. I'm surprised it's back up there as fast as it kind of got back up. But yeah, we don't need it. We don't need above pool.
No, we really don't. So, but hopefully, like I said, we get the weather coming through on Thursday and Friday. There's some rain associated with that event, possible snow and sleet, ice situation. So probably going to be some more runoff, melt off, or whatever you want to call it, which should affect Toledo Bend and Sam Rayburn and Lake of the Pines. All three of those bodies of water will be affected probably starting Sunday. For sure, you'll probably see the lakes on the rise. And but anyway, all right, Kev, that's all we got. What you got? Anything else?
Good luck to everybody this weekend. Be safe. Be careful out there on the water. And hopefully we get some good tournament coverage from you from this weekend and get a good guest on next week to kind of get us going.
Yep, looking forward to it. I want to thank everybody for tuning us in today. Please check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, however way you listen to a podcast. We'd love to be a part of the program. If you'd like to become a member of our sponsorship team, all you got to do is message us on our Facebook page, and Kevin will make sure to send out a detailed packet directly to you explaining how to become a member of our sponsorship team. For Kevin Jean, yours truly, Steve Graff, thank you for watching. We'll see you next week with more Tackle Talk Live.